Previously, on Proto Death Knight. They were 3 levels below me, but watching their health bars melt with every hit was satisfying. Very satisfying. And even though he managed to heal mid-fight, the battle ended up going smoothly. At that point I felt unstoppable, like nothing in this world could threaten me. And then 2 trolls jumped me at once. With just a bit more health, I would have survived comfortably, but even as things were, I barely scraped by. I came dangerously close to ending my hardcore run right there. Captain wasn't hot either, or wouldn't have been, if not for his healer. In the end, barely clinging to life, I won. Since the last episode we said goodbye to hardcore, which honestly I'm not mad about. It was a stressful phase whether I wanted to play it or not. Sure, I could have just rested and re-recorded those first few levels, but there was always that small chance this character might actually make it all the way to max level. I returned to Brill to turn in my completed quests, because today I wanted to do something a bit different than pure leveling. From the very beginning, I had this feeling that if I managed to get a specific item to drop, it could give me a noticeable damage boost. I picked up a few more skills and also finished my class quest in Undercity, which unlocked the ability to summon a Voidwalker. A tank demon sounds useful, but for this journey, he's not exactly ideal, so for now our beautiful imp stays. Next I headed back to Durotar to complete a quest that famously ended many hardcore runs when the servers first launched: Hidden Enemies. And even though I no longer had to worry about permadeath, I still didn't feel safe here at all. Despite being several levels above the enemies, it wasn't easy. The casters hit hard, and on top of that, they had their own Voidwalkers that could deal serious damage. Luckily, another player showed up doing the same quest, which made me feel a lot more confident, especially since an elite was waiting at the very end. We didn't hesitate. We jumped him like there was no tomorrow. I decided that the best strategy was to stay back and just spam shadow bolts. And it paid off. The elite went down fast, along with his summoned demon. After that I managed to get into my first dungeon, Ragefire Chasm. Honestly, I was nervous. Not because I felt weak as a DPS, but because I was afraid people would see a melee warlock and kick me instantly. But nobody cared. And that makes sense. Ragefire is simple early game content, and no one really worries about optimal setups there. The loot started promising right away. Gloves, way more armor than mine. Stone Spirit, not ideal but fine. Stamina, very welcome. And useless strength. Still, they looked great. All I needed was luck, which I didn't have. Then another drop. Hands, intellect and stamina. Beautiful. I could already picture them under my red robes, perfectly matching my green orcish legs. And that's when I realized this wouldn't be my last visit to this dungeon. I needed one specific item, and while I felt no one in the group would actually want it, I also had this creeping feel that someone would click need just because they could. Another warlock-friendly drop followed, bracers with intellect and stamina. And this time it worked out, even though Truzilla had a chance to beat me on loot again. These were finally mine. We pushed forward absolutely demolishing everything in our path. And honestly, I'm not a huge fan of Ragefire Chasm. Sure, it's nicely designed and clean in its simplicity, but there's nothing extremely memorable about it. That said, if this was my first time playing World of Warcraft, I might feel differently. It's clearly meant to introduce players to how dungeons work, especially compared to something like Wailing Caverns, which can be a nightmare to navigate. Eventually we reached the boss, the only one I truly cared about. All I wanted was one thing: Cursed Fellblade. Yes, Cursed Fellblade. On paper, it looked like the perfect upgrade at this stage. Higher damage per second than my current sword, plus a chance to weaken the enemy. Rarely, but always nice. The only downside was its speed, 2.6. For this build, that could be an issue. Still, it would be good enough if it drops. And if I win it. And then... oh my god, yes! It dropped a whole 0.9 DPS more. Everyone clicked greed. Nobody wanted it. This was my moment. And yes, it ended up in my hands. Honestly, I truly believed this sword would be a massive upgrade over my precious weapon. No idea why I convinced myself of that, but that's exactly why I love classic World of Warcraft. Even the smallest upgrade makes you curious about what comes next. You want to grow stronger, and most importantly, every one of those moments brings genuine joy, at least for a while. And to be fair, the sword could hit much harder than the previous one. Problem was the timing. That slow swing speed meant a much larger window where things could go wrong. Misses, dodges and parries. And when a fast weapon misses, the next swing comes quickly. Here, you wait, and hope. We eventually finished Ragefire Chasm, and that pushed me to level 14. I placed my final talent point into Improved Corruption, giving me instant cast on that spell. I picked a few more skills, Curse of Recklessness, which might come in handy later. Drain Life, weak for now, but promising in the future. And yes, I initially forgot to buy rank 2 of Corruption, but I fixed that shortly after. I also upgraded my Imp with Blood Pact rank 2, boosting my stamina by +7 and learned Phase Shift, which makes him invisible out of combat, preventing random aggro from wandering mobs. It was finally time for the next zone, the Barrens. So I made my way to the Crossroads, picked up most of the quests I could, skipping the ones that were clearly meant for much higher levels, and set off on the road. But what happened there, and how much I actually managed to get done, is a story for the next time. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope I'll see you again in the next episode. Take care and see you soon.